because the Swiss car is in there, only 3 points behind New Zealand and France at the moment. Neel Jani alongside Team Germany, then it's the Netherlands and Malaysia on row 4, Portugal and China on row number 5, and on row 6 Australia and Mexico. USA and Pakistan line up next, they're followed by Italy and France. Long way down for Loïc, Duval, Czech Republic and Lebanon next up, followed by Indonesia and South Africa, and at the back it's Ireland and India. It's Rob Wickens on pole position, the youngest ever pole sitter, up against Bruno Junqueira, the oldest driver.
Wir achten natürlich auch auf den neuen.
Lights go out, away we go, and we're racing in Durban. Great start from Team Canada, and a battle going on for third place with Great Britain trying to go around the outside. Great Britain going around the outside, trying to take second. New Zealand hits Canada. New Zealand hits Great Britain. More contact behind as well. Brazil drops out.
And Asia, and there was contact. New Zealand shoveled the nose of their car under the rear wing of Canada, and literally had the rear wheels of the Canada car off the ground. There, Jonny Reid, he's made contact. He tried to be brave, and it's paid him dearly.
Czech Republic and Lebanon have been left at the first corner, the Vodacom hairpin, but the rest are up through Ericsson now. And what a good start it was by Team Canada's Rob Wickens. Great Britain into second, Switzerland have gained third ahead of Brazil, and China have come up to fourth. Where did they cut? Fifth, I think, up to fifth. They started in 11th place.
Well, we'll get a replay of that start into turn one. You will see that the Brazil car and others were almost virtually at a standstill. Others managed to filter their way around, including Switzerland and GBR, who were in the mix, kept out of trouble.
Well, Canada have certainly made the break on this. Jarvis trying to chase for Great Britain. Switzerland have gained out of all this. Germany 7th. Australia. Oh, and there is that bit of damage to the front.
It is the front wing. The Brazil wing is also damaged. You can see it bobbling around. Whoa, almost out of control. Going through the exit of the Ericsson complex.
Oh, Junqueira's going to be in trouble now. Now, did he run into the back of the Swiss car here? Yeah, that's why.
He did. And I thought he had contact also in the first lap. But that Bruno Junqueira from a street track expert. Oh dear.
Well, now it's going to be China to try and get past him. And I tell you what, it's not going to be easy on a street track. Meanwhile, New Zealand into the pits, trying to get a new nose cone on the car. They rehearse this manoeuvre often, and it's quick. But of course, he's going to be right.
Now look at the black car on the left of the screen. Bumps into the back of Canada. Bumps, and again, 3 times contact with Great Britain as well. And Brazil, and that's where the Swiss, they escaped all that. Malaysia clobbers the wall on the inside, and the Czech Republic and Lebanon here again on board. A great run down the outside from Oliver Jarvis. Tries to close it out, but you can't see the contact that's going on with New Zealand. That's just over on the right-hand side of the track, but there was contact with Great Britain to go. There you see the wing now almost touching the ground. That means I think he's going to come in. He's got to come in at the end.
Oh, behind Germany making a move on Netherlands, sliding and almost, I don't know if they actually touched, they may have done.
I think there was a touch because you saw the Netherlands car just having to put on lock, but Michael Ammermüller doesn't appear to be any damage to the nose. It might have been a wheel-to-wheel rather than the bodywork of the front-end grip. And also what you're concerned about is if that does break away, it's only being held by one of the 2 mounting points. If that breaks away there, you can see it's now going to get caught under the front wheel. He's got to get out of it. He's got to give himself the opportunity to get back to the pit safety, but also not compromise Netherlands and Germany.
Here comes Australia. Great shame after that front row starting position for points here. He wants to reclaim the lead in the points, and he can do that here in this race because New Zealand have had a pit stop. They might be running ahead on the road, but they're almost a lap down, and France are out of the points at the moment. Switzerland have a huge opportunity here to retake the lead in the title battle, a lead that they enjoyed before we went to the races in New Zealand and Australia. But he won't want to do anything stupid and lose any chance of scoring points. And on that last lap, actually, Jarvis has just been able to open up the advantage slightly.
Yeah, we don't know why. It just suddenly appeared that Team GBR lost pace 1 lap ago through turns 9 and 10. They've now recovered, and let's look at Adrian Zaugg. Team South Africa dives past Ireland. Well, tries to get alongside with Italy just ahead. Makes a good, clean pass. Well done, Adrian Zaugg. South Africa's proud of you. That's a good move. He had to actually, and in fact, Carroll from Ireland gave him the space. He didn't make it too hard for Adrian Zaugg.
No, well, that was sensible. Zaugg had a good run going there, and he's gained 1 position. He's up to 15th. He's still outside the points. Netherlands versus Germany, that continues for 5th position, with China still sitting up there in 4th place. There's Michael Ammermüller keeping the pressure on Jeroen Bleekemolen. There's been nothing. Press back out just ahead of Canada, and it's Jonny Reid.
And that's 1 point.
That is 1 point, so at least, yeah, he gets something out of it. So that's very valuable when the championship battle is as close as it is, but it's not really going to stack up against the potential points of 10 that Switzerland. Oh! Junqueira in the wall for Brazil.
On the exit of the Ericsson complex, and he slammed into the wall. I suspect that was just being too aggressive on the curb. Just caught the tail of that, so wave yellow flag. Safety car is, there we see, oh look, it just rips the wing up, like, oh, and well, just wipes out the right hand side of the car, and just what a state the car is in.
6 laps to go, or 6 minutes, and its safety car is out.
So Clips, oh that's why he just totally trashed the wing. We saw that happen in the first series of A1GP. That's the first time we've seen a driver do it, and the reason he did it was the way he attacked the curb. Other drivers have been using the curb aggressively. A safety car is deployed with 6 laps to go and 5 minutes and 40 to start-finish line. Remember, they're not allowed to overtake until they've crossed the line, so that does give an advantage to Rob Wickens.
Here we go, race restart. Rob Wickens is controlling the pace. He slows it down again a little bit into this last corner. Away we go, and he's hard on the power through turn 15. Great Britain goes with him. Then it's Switzerland and China, followed by the Netherlands and Germany. Everybody a little spaced out as they head down towards the first turn. Little lock up from Canada, defending the inside. Germany trying to go around the outside, almost collected by Australia. And Portugal nips up the inside and gains one.
Much cleaner through turn 1 motorcom corner than we have seen at the start of this race some 20 minutes ago. Everybody now files through, single file through turn 2.
Good effort that by Filipe Albuquerque. Saw the move by Australia, gained the advantage. Portugal now up into 7th place. Australia lost one, they're down to 8th place, but it kept it pretty clean there. That's impressive stuff from everybody.
Yeah, Rob Wickens really slowed it down as they came into turn 15, then got on the throttle, and he backed the field up, essentially trying to get in position.
France has got past that lot, and
did.
USA has gone straight on.
Absolutely, so a big gain for France out of that, so we wait to see where France will feature when they come to the end of this lap with 1 lap to go.
I think he might still be 1 place outside the points, but he might not be because these two are almost in each other. Oh, and Bleekemolen just kept out of the wall as Ammermüller for Germany is on the attack.
You've got to watch Michael Ammermüller when he's got the red mist, and he's got the red mist right now. We saw this in Malaysia, but before we've had the Christmas break, but the field bunched up behind the Netherlands coming through Suncoast Boulevard.
Through the long left-hander they come then, and still big Jeroen Bleekemolen keeps Ammermüller behind, having a little look up, and they hit each other! Both out! And that puts more cars up in the top 10.
Did I talk about red mist from Germany? You saw it on screen live.
The Ammermüller has done it again. He's hammered into the Netherlands car, and here comes the Malaysia car now trying to gain a position, but it's a red flag, John. The red flag has been called.
And the positions for this race will be judged on the previous lap. 2nd place, Switzerland in 3rd.
Fantastic. Canada take their first ever sprint race win. They've won a feature race in the past thanks to Sean McIntosh, but they've never won effort. This was the moment though where Germany hit the Netherlands.
Well, we saw Michael Ammermüller have the red mist in Malaysia. He was trying everything he could. There was a lot of defense from the Netherlands, and the Netherlands were fully entitled to do that, but Michael Ammermüller just could not contain himself. Tags the back of the Netherlands car. Germany straight into the wall. Netherlands spins around but was unable to recover, and the red flag immediately is thrown, and this race is...
The result of the sprint race. Canada take victory ahead of Great Britain, and Switzerland's 3rd place. Neel Jani now takes a 6-point lead for the team over New Zealand and France. Behind them, China, a superb 4th position. Then the Netherlands and Germany after their incident. Australia in there as well. And then behind them, Mexico and Malaysia still in the points. Behind the point sitters, we had USA and France, then Pakistan and South Africa.
Caught behind Team USA, and that really was the end of the progress. So happy birthday to our rookie,
Rahel Frey, with one of the rookie drivers from Team Switzerland. It's her birthday today. That's good to know. We didn't know that, but happy birthday to Rahel. And they're having a pretty good weekend so far. 3rd place in the sprint race. We know that Neel Jani's had some stomach cramps, but let's hope that he's going to be strong and fit enough for this feature race.
The real key for Switzerland was regaining the lead in the championship, and those 10 points for 3rd place were very welcome indeed.
Filipe Albuquerque, very impressive debut from him. He's driving for Team Portugal, and a lot of us have been impressed with what he's done so far. Let's see what he can do for Team Portugal. He'll be starting in 9th place on the grid. So let's, before we get into the race itself, look at the lineup in a little more detail. All 22 nations that will be starting this race, and despite the accidents that occurred earlier, I'm glad to say that either with the use of spare car or with lots of spare parts, the cars are all ready to go. That means we've got Switzerland on pole position. Team Canada winner earlier today alongside. Then New Zealand and Great Britain on the 2nd row. Both Johnny Reid and Oliver Jarvis capable of winning races. Brazil and the Netherlands are next up on the 3rd row of the grid. Row 4 is Germany Germany and France. Watch out for Loïc Duval. Can he make progress? Portugal and Australia. John Martin feeling very poorly. China and Malaysia next up, followed by Ireland and Pakistan. Good qualifying from A1GP. South Africa and USA, Italy and Mexico. Then the Czech Republic and Lebanon come up. And at the back, we've got Indonesia and India. That's how the 22 nations line up for the feature race. Now remember, now we're going to be seeing a standing start for this one, of course, unlike the rolling start earlier on. But it's time for the build-up to begin.
And now, please, let's stand for the national anthem of South Africa, sung by Tender Mavula. Hats off, please.
Nkosi sikeleli Afrika maluphakanyisa uphondo lwayo izwa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo morena buluga sichama sa Yesu ufedisa diswani masenyeho usibuluge sibuluge sichama sa Yesu sichama sa South Africa South Africa Profan on semel editip defan osiem or on se fechebektes van de kranse antwoord ge sounds a call to come together and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa.
Gentlemen, for the pride of your nation, start your engines.
And the noise begins and crashes around beneath the skyscrapers here in Durban as we build up now to what is going to be a tough afternoon's work, not just for the drivers, the mechanics as well. Spare them a thought. They've got all their full kit on, ready for 2 pit stops in this race. 2 crucial pit stops, John, which could well determine the outcome.
Oh, I think there'll be a big part of this race determined with pit stops. The good news for the engineers, the teams, is that they can stand out of the sunlight in the garage until the car does come to a stop in their respective boxes, and they don't have to stand literally in the sun for goodness knows 70 minutes or more.
No, it is a tight pit lane though, and if they all decide to come in together, it could be quite hard work to find some space. Ready for the formation lap to get underway here, and in just a few seconds they'll blast off the line and get their final chance at a practice start and an idea of how the track is going to feel. Good getaway by Neel Jani. Very smooth and fast getaway, as we heard from him earlier on. He's concerned that he wants to get off the line quickly. He'll want the line into the first corner. But remember also, Team Canada is not a player in terms of the championship. Rob Wickens is out there for race wins.
For me, the car to watch off the line will be Team GBR. We saw a great start, a great rolling start from Oliver Jarvis, and also Oliver Jarvis, I think, is very good under the brakes into this first turn.
Championship positions at the moment: Switzerland 6 points ahead of New Zealand, France now in 3rd place, South Africa in 4th. Now that Germany were out of the picture after that first race, they've dropped behind South Africa again. Canada up to 8th place on 52 points, so that's been a good move up the order already for Team Canada, and they may well be able to add to that. They were 10th coming into this. Other people to score, well, Portugal, they managed to score some points, so up to 9 points on Filipe Albuquerque's debut, and Malaysia have managed to double their points score up to 4 thanks to Faraz Fawzi's attempts earlier on.
So the field makes its way carefully out through the exit of the Ericsson complex. That was the curve that caught the Brazil car, the front wing, the wing end plates. You can adjust those wing plates up and down. I don't know whether Brazil, when they replaced the nose of that Brazil car, whether they had those wing end plates in the up position or not, but we've not seen one car do what Bruno Junqueira did, and he was, once that nose had just been trashed, he was a passenger in a missile.
Interesting, Johnny Reid not doing too. He just started weaving about then. He was keeping it relatively straight until that point. But now we've got to see everybody just warming their tyres up, gradually picking up a bit of speed just to get some tyre temperature.
Yes, you've just got to also get the surface of the tyre as clean as possible. We're coming now the second half of the lap. The second half is the easier part, but the pace of this lap being controlled by Neel Jani, keeping the pack as close as he can. He wants to do that, because if he waits too long on the grid, his car is going to be the first car to come to a standstill, and he's going to have to wait a long time. So the field's still filtering its way through turn 9, making its way down to turn 10. So Neel Jani, when he comes out of that long Suncoast Boulevard corner, he's got to get this pack really as closed up as is possible. There we are, just coming midway through that. Canada directly behind the Swiss car.
A third place finish for Switzerland in that sprint race. That won them some $50,000. So they're becoming very close to becoming the top money earners in A1GP, or Jani is, in terms of the drivers who've done it. Hulkenberg won over $2 million for Team Germany last season, but Neel Jani almost on that mark now, courtesy of that result earlier on today. Can he win the $200,000 prize that's on offer for the feature race win? Well, he's certainly best placed to do it from pole position.
Yes, he has got the best opportunity. The question mark will obviously remain on whether he will have the stamina over the duration. 69 minutes plus 1 lap, or 48 laps, whichever comes the sooner. And it would be a brave man that would forecast which of those two will be the outcome.
So everybody starting to take their positions. Looking out of our commentary box window, we've got a view of the front row of the grid. That's Switzerland and Canada. New Zealand tucked in there in third. Jarvis is just moving up into his slot. Looking out the window, just seeing that, whereas you're watching the back end of the grid there. Parthiva Sureshwaran bringing up the rear for Team India. Let's wish Narain Karthikeyan well. Let's hope his wrist injury is repaired in time for the next round of the series in Mexico in 3 weeks. But it's Durban feature race coming up right now. All aiming to win the 15 points, the $200,000 on offer for victory here today, and to continue that championship battle all the way to the end. Watch for the lights up at the top of the screen. Red lights are on, lights go out, away we go, and it's Jani with a fantastic start, and New Zealand goes second.
This is Great Britain as the car to watch, blocked by New Zealand coming down into turn 1. Jarvis backside of it, so it is Switzerland getting the advantage.
Look behind, this is where the trouble will occur. Germany gets down on the inside, here's the blockage, and South Africa's in the middle of it. Adrian Zaugg again, he's in the middle of the dramas.
We've got 8-9 cars. China's blocking, and the whole field has now come to a standstill in turn 1.
Safety car's been called for, and it happened to Adrian Zaugg last year. It's happened again, he's in the midfield, and he's been blocked out.
Rob Wickens, the big loser there, going from second on the grid down to 5th place.
Yeah, a terrible start for the earlier winner. Marshall's doing a fabulous job trying to get that cleared. They've done it. Well done, boys, down there at Vodacom hairpin. Although
the nose on China's car is damaged. There's bodywork on the racetrack as well. So a lot of these cars will make their way back into the pits once they get rolling. But what a mess in turn 1 down at Vodacom corner. We know it's always a problem, but this is the biggest problem we've seen in the 3 years we've been here in Durban.
India only just getting going. USA has stalled. Mexico is stopped, and Lebanon. Khalil Bashir still waiting to get going as well.
So we're going to have a rolling start to this feature race. We've had the standing start. We will have a rolling start once this melee down in Vodacom corner has been cleared. Let's look at it again from the moment the lights go out.
So it's a poor start by Canada. Great getaway by Switzerland, but you want to look further back, because actually the first group made it through.
Indeed they did. There was movement all around. You can see just Rob Wickens went all the way back, but 3 cars side by side trying to get around. It isn't going to happen. Germany and Netherlands side by side, but it was China got tagged from behind.
Ooh.
And there
somebody climbed up the wall there.
They did climb up the wall, but you can see what 8-9 cars
had nowhere to go, did they? So let's have a look from on board further back. The big traffic jam. China was part of it. Look, trying to go on the outside. Bosch.
And Pakistan on board.
Yeah, Portugal it was that went up in the air.
Portugal bumped up in the air over the. So that from China backwards, it was just standstill at turn 1.
No, well, it always happens. It's so difficult. There's no way you can go around there 3 abreast. They were trying it, but just no way. So Switzerland made a great start, but so did New Zealand. And of course, those two are big battlers in terms of the championship. China had a fabulous 4th place earlier, but that's not going to happen this time. So nose cone being checked. Oh, they haven't quite got that.
The bolt is not fully released, so and South Africa now in as well. So it's been a disastrous weekend so far for South Africa in the sprint race and now in the feature race.
Oh, what a great shame for Adrian Zaugg. For the second year, he's been caught out by another person's incident down at that first corner, the Vodacom hairpin. They've got the nose cone on, they send him on his way, but a real disaster for the host nation. Let's just hope he can come back from there somehow.
Well, do not forget what happened here in the first race in Durban. Anything is possible. We've only had one lap, we're now on lap 2, and we're under safety car, so while it might seem everything is lost, do not give up hope as Team USA. And Jonathan Summerton, because he also got trapped in that incident down in turn 1.
2 pit stops will have to be made during the race for tyre changes. This won't count as one of their compulsory stops, of course. Away goes Khalil Bashir. Very disappointing. He's got a long afternoon ahead of him now. And Team USA, Jonathan Summerton, same story as he gets underway. Well, Team Switzerland certainly managed to keep themselves clear of all that drama. New Zealand and Great Britain, but Brazil managed to get ahead of Great Britain, which is interesting.
I don't know, we didn't quite see it. We probably did see, but didn't pick it up. But Bruno Junqueira somehow or other managed to get around Great Britain, who had already gotten around Canada. So in that, although seeing the melee take place somewhere or other, Brazil got ahead of Great Britain in the car that Bruno Junqueira has not driven. This is a spare car. He's in with all the Brazil identifications on that car.
That's Mexico. David Garza, who's just going to lose a lap. Now, I think all the others have managed to stay on the lead lap because the safety car's out there, but unfortunately for Garza of Mexico, he's down a lap.
Yes, he's going to be held at the pit lane exit to let the entire field go by, so he will go one lap down and he will then join on to the tail of this field. There we see Bruno Junqueira in the spare car just ahead of Team GBR.
Yeah, behind them we've got Canada, Netherlands, Germany, France, Australia running 9th, Ireland 10th. That's good for Ireland. Then Malaysia 11th, Portugal 12th, then Italy. And then these guys who've been in for their nose cone changes, but they're all on the lead lap because the safety car came out. They are all still on the lead lap. So it's only Mexico that really lost out on those that earlier incident because they were one of the last to be pushed back into action. So very disappointing for Mexico. Of course, it's Mexico's home race coming up after this. And it doesn't look like they're going to go there quite like Adrian Zaugg did on this occasion, with a great result in their pocket.
No, I think that's going to be a very tall hill to have to climb for Mexico, and I think the disappointment having not been able to get in and out in time to avoid having that one lap penalty. So the safety car makes its way down the straight, probably up to about 120, 140 kilometres per hour. Everybody keeping the tyres warm, getting a little bit of a chance to catch their breath and get over the nerves. Everybody expects the first turn to be problematic. This time exceeded expectations, but the first 6-7 cars got through cleanly. It was really down where China was, and from there back it all went pear-shaped.
So safety car coming in at the end of the lap. We'll be racing once again. Let's hope they all manage to make it through turn 1 a little bit more cleanly this time. It just was too much punching going on. It's Neel Jani who will set the pace for them ahead of Johnny Reid. 6 points separate Switzerland and New Zealand. And New Zealand, after the disaster of the first race of the day, have a chance of reclaiming some of that lost ground. So Neel will be nervous to see the Black Beauty behind him, I'm sure. There's a long way to go here before we get to the end of this race.
And he's on it already as the cars come down to turn 15. So he's not allowed to overtake until you cross the start-finish line. And the advantage goes to Switzerland, and the field strings its way down into Vodacom corner.
Here comes Ireland on the attack of Team Australia. He's going to try and go alongside. France also getting involved in that incident. Australia bumped the curve.
Germany's been spun round.
Yeah, and France trying to pick his way through. Australia out as well, well not out, but into the jam. And South Africa gets blocked again.
Cannot believe it. You know, I mean,
such a shame.
What is going on? Are these guys, are they not using their brains?
There's such a long race in front of them, and yet they can't resist getting involved in all this at the moment.
It is, I mean, this is just, I mean, I have to say, I understand in the first start, standing start, but you know it's going to be busy. John Martin on the inside tags Germany, catches the back of that, is that France? Then Ireland hits the back of that into the barriers. Australia's trapped, and then it just South Africa and everybody. Why do they not just use their brains?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was Australia that made the contact with Germany initially, but then everybody else sort of piling in here. Malaysia got through on the inside, Portugal did as well, and then it's difficult. I'm not sure whether Mexico was the one that ended up getting caught up in that again, but well, there's Alan Jones's reaction as he sees the Australian car in trouble, and now they're just hoping that they're going to get that car out of the way. We've got a safety car again. Well, disappointing start to this race, no doubt about that.
Well, while we're waiting for the safety car to pick up the line of cars, We've got 45 laps remaining, but more significantly, we've got an hour and a minute and a half of this race remaining.
All the hard work of the weekend, and it's being undone in a series of incidents down at that Vodacom hairpin. We all know it's difficult to get round there, but we just would have loved to have seen a bit of a clear restart on that occasion. There are cars being picked up. German team down there, it doesn't look as though there's an awful lot they can do for him at the moment. They're just waiting to see whether they can get that car cleared out of the way.
Well, the car will be cleared, but it will be cleared behind the barriers. That car, or those cars, are not going to take in any further part in this event here this afternoon. So again, Switzerland comes across.
There's been a few major changes as a result of incidents. Look, Italy up 7 places from their original starting position. Malaysia up 5 places. Czech Republic, new driver Josef Král is up big time as well. But look how many reds there are on that graphic.
Indeed,
showing.
in Germany, the big loser in that.
Yeah.
And let's get on board with South Africa and let's see what happens.
It's just going past the scene at the moment.
This is the live picture.
Still several cars to be gathered up there. They still haven't managed to get the German car moved, and that's got a wheel in the air. I don't know if it's still mounted on the other one or not. We're going to take a look at the original start here, first of all, and that was a slow getaway by Team Canada, and then it was the bunching that went on behind. Look, they're all trying to get 4 abreast almost.
Yes, and that was a very good start by Brazil, going around the outside of Team GBR and gets the pass, but then it all went pear-shaped and up in the air, and just simply log jam. And that literally was what it is, as a log jam down at Vodacom corner, and the whole lot comes to a standstill. And well, I think I've said enough on the subject, otherwise I'm going to get rude about some of these pins.
Well, this was South Africa, had nowhere to go, did he? Adrian Zaugg stuck on the outside lane was not the place to be. Unfortunately, he bumped into the back of the Pakistan car. That's what did his nose cone. Italy got stuck on the outside, although Italy actually have recovered more quickly because they're now running reasonably well. Ironically, they're now up into 10th place. I don't quite know how Piscopo managed to get out of that. It did look as though South Africa, it might have got a push actually into Pakistan by USA. So I'm not sure it was Adrian Zaug's fault that he ran into the back of Pakistan. He may well have had a shove from behind.
I think you've got to look at it in an analysis and just slow it all down. There was so much taking place, and you're looking at one group of cars and there's another group, literally, I mean, like lemmings just sort of jumping off the cliff.
So there's still cars to be picked up down there. Australia's in. John Martin has been feeling pretty poorly. He's probably feeling even worse now. Damage to the front end of the car, to the suspension as well. Steering arm is bent, and I wonder if they might send him back out again. There's a good chance here because you might as well get back out there.
Well, you know, what, 8 cars finished here last year? So you put your car in the garage, you repair the car, and you go back out again. Obviously, you're not going to win the race, but you never know, you could finish in the top 10. There may not even be 10 finishers. If you can do that, then that makes all that effort very worthwhile.
Yeah, well, Pakistan, Nur Ali got the final point last year in 10th place, but he was some 4 laps off the winner. So, you know, if you lose a lap or 2 in the pits, it's still worth getting out there. You may still manage to score a point. So, not a great start for Australia in this one. Let's get down to the pits and some reactions from Alan Jones with Simon.
Alan, after a very encouraging sprint race, your face says it all pretty much.
Well, unfortunately, it's a very narrow street circuit, and turn 1 has always had problems, and every year we've been here, there's always been shunts on turn 1 in the first couple of laps, and, you know, it just goes with the territory. But he got caught out. He did a very good start, but we'll have him back out in a minute, and we'll be right.
Now, John Watson was making disparaging comments about these young kids. You know, you're in the same era as Watty. What do you think?
Well, he couldn't do it anymore, neither could I, so I'm not going to start making comments about things I can't do.
Thanks, Alan.
Okay, thank you.
Well, there we go, John. What have you got to say about that?
Well, I'll tell you what, I would like to think neither of us would have been as dumb as some of the drivers we've seen here.
That was a big lunge from John Martin.
That was a big lunge, and that was it was never going to get past, and it was going to be a closing gap. So that was just a simple mistake from John Martin, and this is the restart after the first safety car intervention. So that was just an error on the part of John Martin, and he's gone back into the pits. But of course, it set off this chain reaction. Yeah, you see the green and yellow car dive down the inside, tags the right rear of Germany, spins Germany round. He's facing the traffic coming towards him. France. They couldn't quite see whether France got through.
He got through. Actually, that was remarkable that Loïc Duval managed to find a way of getting through. Oh, look at the damage to the front of the Indonesian car, trying to get away now.
Also, the car's got damage to the rear suspension, so he's making his way back very, very gently indeed as we see John. Is that John Martin?
It is. He's
out
on
already.
his way. Yeah.
Well, there can't have been too much damage to that car.
No.
He's only probably lost a little over a lap, if even that.
No, so there could be still points for Australia and for Jackaroo at this rate, with so many in trouble here in the early stages. Long way to go. Now, joining us on our crew on the TV side of things this weekend is rookie driver for Team Switzerland, Marcel Fassler. Let's hear from Marcel. Marcel, what do you reckon on what's been going on so far?
Yeah, it's really quite difficult, I think, for all the pilots from the starts. The first corner is quite difficult, it's quite tight, and as you have seen in the TV, the cars just hit a little bit the other one and then all stuck inside. I think it's very difficult to manage it for the drivers. It looks easier than it really is, but yeah, it's unfortunately we lose a lot of cars, and for the crowds it's also not so good at the moment.
No, that's right, you're right. Thanks very much for your comments. And there's Team Ireland. He's actually getting out the car. That's interesting. They're going to change the nose cone, but Adam, maybe the belts were undone, so he's got to try and reorganise them.
Yes, he probably got out of the car down at turn one. He drove back to the pits. They've now got to reconnect the belts at the same time. They've got to replace the nose, and goodness knows how many nose cones have been replaced. Certainly a huge number have been shredded, and we've still got 42 laps to go, or 55 minutes, whichever's going to come the sooner, and I can guarantee you now it will be 55 minutes.
Yeah, there's no way this race is going to go to full distance, is there? Well, up front, there's no problems for Switzerland and New Zealand. Brazil and Great Britain, those four managed to get through relatively untroubled at the start of both the original start and the restart. Canada's still in there as well. Now, look, we've got an unpainted nose cone. That's how many nose cones we've been getting through this weekend. So we've got an unpainted nose cone on the front of the Ireland car. Netherlands will be very relieved, no doubt, not to have Germany behind them after the fun and games they had in the sprint race. Netherlands now have Malaysia following them in 7th, France in 8th, Portugal 9th, Italy in the points potentially in 10th, Czech Republic in 11th. That's the young Josef Král having a real baptism of fire this weekend.
Indeed, and I think all the Czech Republic, Josef Král, have got to do is just drive a nice, easy Sunday afternoon drive. Don't try and be a race driver, just bring the car home, and if you can maintain your 10th, 11th position, it could morph itself into 10th or even better.
Yeah, and let's not forget that behind him as well is Parthiva Sureshwaran, the rookie driver, replacement driver for Narain Karthikeyan for Team India. South Africa are now being shown as 13th. So after all of the dramas there, actually Adrian Zaugg has effectively gained, it was about 2 or 3 places from his original starting position, because he's now in 13th place, even though he's been in the pits once.
And Ireland are back out with that new nose in the car, so Adam Carroll often, when adversity strikes, he is at his best. So safety car is going to come in at the end of this lap, and Adam Carroll will be going flat out to try to catch up to the tail of this train of cars. He will be just about probably coming onto the straight as they're all filtering off the straight, and it's doubtful he'll even catch up to the tail of the crocodile of cars as they come across the start-finish line, and this race once again for the 3rd time gets underway.
Around the Suncoast Boulevard they come then, and the safety car is heading in. We're going to see the green flag when they come past the start-finish line next time. It's Switzerland versus New Zealand. Brazil, watch out for Brazil. Junqueira in there again in the mix, determined to make up for the disappointment of earlier on. Then it's Great Britain's Ollie Jarvis. Let's see what happens. Neel Jani gets on the pace once again as we go racing again in Durban. Another restart, and look at a great restart from Neel Jani of Switzerland. Johnny Reid will come under attack from Team Brazil, heading down into Vodacom corner. Great Britain under attack also. Ollie Jarvis defending from Team Canada's Rob Wickens. So far so good. Malaysia on the outside of Portugal, I think that was. And I think possibly this time they've all made it round.
Miracle of miracles they have. It was France was the beneficiary. They got past Malaysia along with Portugal. So 2 places gained for France. Should see, well, 1 place for France up to 7th and Portugal up to 8th.
So we've got them through Vodacom, now we're into Ericsson, and now we've got some proper racing on our hands with the Czech Republic chasing Italy, but Switzerland trying to ease away from New Zealand. Remember, Bruno Junqueira running in 3rd is getting used to a car that he's not driven before, the spare car that they've had to use as a result of the accident he suffered earlier on, and he's staying ahead of Great Britain, but only just. That's a very tight battle in there, and Brazil ahead of Great Britain and Canada.
France having a look down the inside, but had to back out of it going into turn 9, trying to make up ground as quickly as possible, and the pit stop window is now open.
Yeah, we've already done 8 laps. It's all been behind safety car, but that means the pit window is open, and I would think that the leaders will come in as early as possible, but those further down, they'll take a gamble, and they might go...
They are indeed first 2 in the pit lane. New Zealand 2nd, Switzerland first.
That's good tactics from their point of view. They had to do that. Track position is crucial. Now, has Great Britain come in? Yes, it has. Great Britain's come in. That's interesting. So Switzerland, New Zealand, Great Britain and Netherlands all coming in early here. Malaysia as well. Because of the risk of safety car on a street circuit, this is the sort of safe choice to go for the early stop. The gamble is to go for a later stop.
Well, the gamble is, I think, the wrong gamble. I think what we're seeing here, the leaders do, is get in, get on, Neel, get it out, moving. So he gets a good stop from Team GBR.
What's happened to New Zealand? New Zealand have lost a lot of time. Oh, it's all gone wrong again.
In the nose. There's something being done to the nose of the car. They're changing the nose of the car.
Oh, it's broken.
It's damaged. Where did that happen?
I have no idea. I haven't seen any damage to the front of the Kiwi car, the Black Beauty, but obviously in trouble. He's got his new tyres on. They've done the tyre change. Waiting. Oh, it seems forever, doesn't it? Get it done. On his way. Oh dear, it's a disaster again for New Zealand.
Well, let's wait. Let's wait a little bit. I know it's bad, but a lot can happen. We've still got 50 minutes remaining, and it's going to be a timed race, so 50 minutes is a long way to go.
Brazil leads the race here in Durban now, chased by Canada. So the winner earlier on, Rob Wickens for Team Canada, finds himself behind the guy that he was on the front row with earlier, but in comes Brazil. So it's Canada going deep into this one. Interesting choice.
And interestingly also, it's France now up to second place. Loïc Duval for France has made his way all the way up in the start of this race for 8th position on the grid into second. Brazil going to work on the spare car for Bruno Junqueira.
Yeah, and fast is that for France on that last lap as well, John. So Loïc Duval is flying.
Well, I don't know what sort of tyre they're putting in the right front. There's a lot of pickup on those tyres. I hope Bruno Junqueira sees that, because when he goes back out on the racetrack, Team USA in as well, when he goes back on the racetrack, he'll have to get those tyres cleaned up as quickly as possible.
Into the pits come some of the other front runners, and including South Africa. The South African team into the pits here, looking for the fast stop, trying to get underway once again. Oh, they've got a problem on the right rear, and they've got troubles. They're going to have a slow stop as well.
Car's off the jack, it's going to roll, but once again, just the sheer stress and pressure that the teams have been under. South Africa, they've been in twice before the pit stop, and just it didn't come together.
No, they lost nearly 10 seconds on that stop, so that's a nasty stop for them and cost them a lot of time. India under pressure here from Team Australia. Canada's leading this race though. Look at the battle down the main section, up to 160 miles an hour before getting on the brakes here. Parthiva Sureshwaran for Team India, much less experienced than a lot of the guys he's racing against, although he has contested a few A1GP races, so he's got some experience. He's going to have to try and hold on.
Here's the problem with the nose. Somebody just, well, that's the fact.
Oh, that's what happened.
What happened. The car coming in, and suddenly the car, New Zealand, well, whoever was flagging out New Zealand certainly did not look to see what was coming into the pit lane.
Well, that was a real mistake by the team, you have to say. He should never have been waved out. He should have been held there. And it's Canada in. Right, Canada coming in from second, although Brazil is also in. Brazil in, so we've now got France leading this race. That could work well to their advantage. Let's see where they come back out. But behind Switzerland. Behind Switzerland. So Switzerland stay ahead of Canada there. Switzerland,
but they've come out ahead of Team GBR, so Canada's become the beneficiary of that pit stop. Locks up into turn one, Vodacom corner, and Oliver Jarvis, who has been in and got his fresh tyres up to speed, up to temperature, will be very, very dissatisfied to see the winner of the sprint race ahead of him.
That's right, he dropped behind him, didn't he?
He did indeed.
At the start, and so they have gained. Canada have regained a position there from Team GBR, although Jarvis is going to push hard to see if he can get it back again.
Team New Zealand under investigation. T1 incidents under investigation. It's going to be a busy day for the stewards.
That's right, but France lead now. France going deeper into this race. I tell you what, this is a great strategy from Team France. They had to play the gamble because they were further down the order. But if there's no safety car for a little while here, they could be in absolutely superb shape, and they will become a part of this potential podium finishes. I think they'll come out somewhere with Canada and Great Britain.
I wouldn't be surprised. We're on lap 13. So between 8 and 16, so France are going to have to maximise as quickly as possible. There they are in the pit, so they've decided this is the best chance to come in. It's not when you come in as much as when you go back out again. If you can get out before here, Canada we see, then following behind, they're moving. They may well come back into the field between Canada and Great Britain. There's Great Britain. No, they've not been able to do it. They're coming in behind Oliver Jarvis.
But that is still a very useful move up the order. They were down in 8th place at one point. And so now it looks like they might be, when the pit stops have all been made, about 4th. We've still got Portugal leading the race though. Portugal leads the race having not yet stopped. India is in 2nd place because they've not stopped yet either, but they are the only 2 really who haven't yet stopped. On board with South Africa going down the inside of the Czech Republic. That is for position, and he takes the place.
Yes, and that was an easy pass. Josef Král for the Czech Republic wasn't going to make life too difficult for Adrian Zaugg, and Ireland now lining up behind them as well. Remember, Ireland been in and out and changing noses, so for Adam Carroll a lot more work to do, but it's Adrian Zaugg that the fans here, there you see them cheering every time he comes past. The flags are waved.
Yeah, he's up to 14th place at the moment. That might be a bit further up once we've had a few more pit stops, but of course he had a slow stop, which doesn't help him too much. So on the move though, with a bit of damage to the front. He's actually, look, the front of the nose cone is wiped off his car. He was already off by the time he went past Josef Král.
Might help driver cooling, you know, that little bit of a hole in the nose there will blow through the car. Shouldn't have too much bearing on the overall downforce of the car, as long as that nose doesn't shred over the remaining 45 minutes and 45 seconds.
Well, he's been one of the best on the brakes into turn 1, Vodacom hairpin, no doubt about that. We've got a drive-through penalty for New Zealand, and that's a result of that incident in the pits where they collected, I think it was Team Mexico, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, it obviously clearly was the fault of New Zealand, and they waved Jonny Reid out, and they must not have been aware, or if they were, they took a terrible punt. The penalty is a drive-through.
Yeah, that was a real mistake from a team which very rarely makes mistakes, I have to say, and a bit of a surprise on that one. They will pay a heavy price, though, because Switzerland could well open up a much bigger lead in the championship as a result of that.
Well, Filipe Albuquerque, I believe, is about to come in, because you see the team in the pit, in the garage. In fact, they're not allowed onto the pit lane until the car has come to a stop in the box. Jonny Reid for New Zealand has completed his drive-through penalty, back out on the racetrack. So what a day for New Zealand.
Yeah, it is, but in comes Portugal. So from the race lead, Portugal now heading in. I wonder where he'll come out. He won't be up in the top few, but he'll still be in the top 10, I would think, despite this car. You remember how high it went in the air at the first start? I wonder if there is any damage around that rear suspension. Doesn't seem to be anything obvious to us.
I mean, you can just be either unlucky or lucky. Depends how it was hit, depends how it landed when it came back down. But certainly Filipe Albuquerque has done a very good job all weekend. And there is the field.
Yeah, India leading here, by the way, but Switzerland behind have made their stop.
Yes, I think we're going to see India get out of the way. Double quick time, good stop for Portugal. India's still holding on to the lead there, saying we're going to go. We're on lap 15. He's got 1 lap to go before he has to come in, otherwise he'll be in trouble.
Yeah, this is going to cost Switzerland a bit of the advantage that they've built up over Canada. Rob Wickens is definitely getting closer. He's loving this because Switzerland are being held up, and now Canada's going to join in the fun and games, and Switzerland still can't find a way past.
Rightly so, they shouldn't, not at this point of racetrack, but look at Rob Wickens bumping over the curb. He's going to try and take advantage of this 3-car train as they come onto the main straight. Now, let's see if Switzerland can get past India. Remember, India is still leading this race, but yet to make their first pit stop. Closes the door going through the curb, but down the inside goes Switzerland, but not enough to get the pass. Gives room on the inside. Switzerland will try and dive down the inside into turn 1. Rob Wickens trying to go one way, but can't do it either.
Remember, Sureshwaran is leading this race, so if he wants to fight for it, well, he's totally entitled to. He's not made his pit stop, but he's going to have to make it in the next lap or so, otherwise he'll be outside the pit lane stop window. So Switzerland are looking for that chance to get by. In comes India, and now the battle is on as Canada's going to have a little look, but decides against it.
And wisely too, it's very difficult to on the inside of turn 15. It's bumpy, and of course the track comes back at you as you exit the corner. But the top 4, Switzerland, Canada, Great Britain and France, covered by 1.2 seconds.
That's really closed things up fantastically, hasn't it? Switzerland now leading. 2nd place we've got in Canada, Great Britain and France. The pit stop being made by Parthiva Sureshwaran, and away he goes. Well, he led the race and he was proud to do it.
Absolutely, and very important again, bearing in mind the interest in A1GP now in India after that great win for Narain in Zhuhai before Christmas.
So he rejoins behind a little gaggle of cars, Mexico, Czech Republic and Ireland. Ireland currently running in 19th position. So drive through for Lebanon. That's not really going to affect too much, although Lebanon are ahead of some of those cars we just looked at. Here comes France.
Putting the heat on Great Britain. And great Oliver Jarvis in the middle of the track. No way you can pass on either side. Trying to go around the outside. No way to cut back into turn 9.
Well, this is good stuff between two guys who know each other well, but Duval looks very determined to try and get past that British car. No way through there. He's going to have to find a little more space.
It's going to be about momentum. He had the momentum to carry himself up to the tail of the Great Britain car. now through this long Suncoast Boulevard. Nothing you can do. Really nothing into turn 15. All you can hope is to get a good run out of this corner and possibly put yourself in a position into Vodacom corner, but it again nowhere near close enough to put a serious threat on Team GBR.
Switzerland, Canada, nothing to choose between them. Then Great Britain and France, the top 4 cars still all covered by just 2 seconds, I would say, from the front to the back of that little section. Then behind, Portugal running in a strong 5th. Netherlands in 6th, Malaysia 7th, Brazil in 8th place, Italy up to 9th, China up to 10th on that last lap, gained a place, South Africa now in 11th place, so Adrian Zaugg is only 1 position outside the point. South Africa in 11th place with the Czech Republic 12th.
So China ahead, that'll be difficult. Italy, probably for China and South Africa, prospect to make it into the top 10.
Bouncing over the little bumps that head on to the fastest section of the circuit there, and that pounding away is part of the strain the drivers have to withstand. Now the American car into the pits, Team USA back on their way once more. I don't know quite why they're making a pit stop.
Well, that was a flat tire, I thought, looking at one of the engineers.
Okay.
It was a flat tire, so that was replaced, and the USA have to go back out again, and what an afternoon this has turned out to be. Unpredictable, well, that's an understatement.
It is, but Switzerland are where they want to be, where they need to be, and with their major rival New Zealand in big trouble, and France, remember, climbing back up the order here. France part of this group now in 4th place, and very important that France scores well here today. It's the last opportunity that they will have to use Loïc Duval as their driver, one of the standout drivers of this 3rd season of A1GP, there's no doubt about it, but what they need is for him to move up a bit further and keep the pressure on Team Switzerland's Neel Jani.
Well, so far this is looking like a gift horse for Switzerland and France, because New Zealand, because of that problem, is all the way down in 14th place. The incident in the pit lane, the drive-through penalty, 14th, that can translate into a points finish when we get to the end of this race, which is 39 minutes and 50 seconds to go. 31 laps to go. No chance.
No chance, no. Millimetres away from the walls on every lap, on every corner. Can they keep that up for another 40 minutes or so and keep the accuracy in these intense, hot conditions, high humidity as well? And that's what we're going to see, whether they've got that concentration. I tell you what, Switzerland has eased away a bit from Canada over the last couple of laps. Whether Canada's just going to sort of wait until we get closer to the second round of pit stops, who knows?
Well, I don't know the reason why, but Canada is lapping half a second a lap quicker than pretty much everybody else. A good lap from Great Britain, though they're pretty much on the pace, as is France. It is actually Canada on the front 4 cars that's just half a second down on the last lap over the other 3 nations.
So Switzerland and Canada 1-2, Great Britain in 3rd, then France in 4th place.
It was just that one lap Canada lost that half second. They're now back immediately, running a fraction of a second quicker than Switzerland and quicker than both Great Britain and France.
Team Ireland and India both are being called into the pits for drive-through penalties. They're both quite a way down the order at the moment, so not going to make a huge difference, although India in 13th place, that will hurt any prospects they might have had of scoring points here today.
The car that is also going very well indeed is in 5th place. It's Portugal, Filipe Albuquerque. He's running 6.6 seconds behind France, but he's also running in the high 1:19s when all around him are running in the 1:20s.
Yes, and the other nation that's doing that is South Africa, but South Africa is some 6 seconds behind China at the moment, so they need to be going very quickly if South Africa's going to get in the points. There is China, so China tucked up behind Italy, but some 6 seconds behind them. South Africa going very fast.
So Edoardo Piscopo in the Italian king. I do know that on certain parts of the racetrack he's not as committed as others. And of course Frankie Cheng will be one that will be flat out through that little flick left, which leads you into the Suncoast Boulevard, and that may offer the opportunity, if China can get close enough following through there, to put himself into the position. That's all he's looking for. It's through here that Italy are not as committed as everybody else is.
9th and 10th they run currently, with just up ahead of them the Brazilian car of Bruno Junqueira, who's certainly having lots of fun and games here. Look, he's a bit slow into that last corner, Italy, but then Frankie Cheng almost overran him, and as a result of that he wasn't able to maintain that momentum on the exit. I don't think, is he going to have a go? He might have a go into Vodacom corner. Oh, not quite.
That long shot, that telephoto shot, made it look as if he had gotten alongside, but he gets alongside on the exit of Vodacom corner, but can't get the job done. Now looks down the inside. No, he's not far enough up, and also it's dirty on the inside of the corner and narrows the angle that you can take the corner.
There's a tension in their faces of the Japanese, of this Chinese crew at the moment. Oh, a little lock up there from Frankie Cheng. As he manages to sort it all out, slide up ahead, and also for Malaysia's Faraz Fauzi. Malaysia in a solid 7th place. Good run this for Faraz Fauzi at the moment, and they've got another chance to score useful points if they can just keep it going. Malaysia running 7th behind the Netherlands in 6th position.
They've got now the top 6 runners all lapping pretty much within a couple of tenths of a second of each other. There's a lot of pressure at the front of the field.
Yeah, lots to look for here, and we're still 10 laps away from the next pit stop window opening up, so they've got to just grind these laps away, keep pushing, try and force the guy in front into a mistake. Riding on board the front nose cone of the Chinese car. There's that little flick-flack you were talking about, leading into Suncoast Boulevard, and there the Chinese car sliding a bit.
I think Edoardo Piscopo has actually found a way to go flat out for that little flip-flap. He wasn't doing it in the sprint race, but maybe he's just built up the courage, got the confidence to do so. Team USA, I think, that is coming back out of the pit lane. We don't know why they're in. They had a puncture, and they've suddenly had to go back in for, how many times have they been in USA? 4 times, I think.
Yeah, it's been many pit visits by quite a lot of teams so far. Again, China trying to close that gap up to Team Italy. Remember, this is for 9th and 10th places. Still everybody looking a bit wound up down there. China had a great 4th place finish earlier on today, but they're all battling about points and prize money.
Surprisingly, very little use of power boost. Looking at the top 7 cars, they've not used any of it yet. I think they're just so busy keeping an eye on what's going on ahead of them, and in the mirrors what's going on behind.
So nothing to choose between the blue Italian car and the red and yellow Chinese car as they head along the main straight now. It's so hard to get alongside somebody on this section where you're braking on the turn into turn number 9 here. Nothing doing for Frankie Cheng, but Piscopo runs it wide to the edge. Now up to turn 10. Little, fairly straightforward right-hander. 90 degrees, mind the curve on the inside. Frankie wants to get past. You know he can go quicker, but it's getting alongside that matters.
Yes, and again, once you're committed to going through this low, and Italy is a little bit wide coming through, and did it hurt them? Well, it maybe did fractionally, but it puts China probably in a slightly better position to get a run off this final turn onto the main straight, and then the run into turn 1, Vodacom corner, but he hasn't been able to carry that momentum. He's going to have a look and put his car in the mirrors of Italy, closes right up, overruns the corner, as does Italy. Can the acceleration into turn 1 get it done? No.
Piscopo shuts the door firmly as they approach turn 2. Good stuff. This is a great scrap between the two of them.
Trying to force Italy to take the inside line going into turn 2 to create the opportunity coming out of turn 2 into turn 3, but nothing changes.
Nothing changes as yet, but yeah, a sense that there will be a change at some point. Mexico in the pits, they've had a pretty miserable time with lots of pit visits as well. Checking around the pedal box, I wonder what's going on there. Well, we'll see Italy again.
Czech Republic. Has that been a little bit of contact with the wall, maybe?
Yeah, looks a bit like it. He's crawling along, isn't he? Josef Král, who was running in 12th place, gets well out of the way there. There's certainly something wrong with that car.
There's a battle. Team GBR with France still putting pressure on Oliver Jarvis. And again, draws up slightly closer than in previous laps. But the difficulty is he's not close enough. You've got to get absolutely alongside a car, or if you're not there, to take a big brave punt, but you need cooperation from the car you're trying to overtake, and Oliver Jarvis is not going to give an inch.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be a tough encounter to try and get past him here, but Loïc Duval has maintained the pressure lap after lap, and you wonder whether that might not pay off eventually. So little to choose. Great helicopter shot looking down through the Ericsson curves there, heading up towards that little chicane, tricky chicane where we saw Junqueira crash so dramatically earlier on today. Up through turn 8 onto the flat out section now, but look at this, it's curving all the way. This is what happened a moment ago. China got into trouble, Italy also. Just missed the wall.
One was almost a sympathy for the other. But did he get on the inside into turn 10? They both made an error in turn 9, but did he get alongside?
He did.
He got the pass into turn 10. All that hard work, all that chivying away, forcing the error out of Italy. Also had forced an error out of China, but China made the better recovery.
They've done it. China's done it. They've gained the place up to 9th. That means they go chasing after Brazil now, and then Italy might come under pressure pretty soon from South Africa. I'll tell you what, South Africa, you remember it was a 6-second gap from China and Italy to South Africa. Well, South Africa's right in the background now. South Africa has caught up hugely. Here's that battle though for 3rd. France having a little think. Switzerland still lead from Canada in 2nd, then Great Britain and France. Oliver Jarvis versus Loïc Duval, two drivers who spent a lot of time in Japan over the last 12 months or so. Got to know each other pretty well there, but they're racing for every inch here today.
Well, what Oliver Jarvis will not want is to start looking in his mirrors to check I was talking about Czech, the Czech car actually in the pits, just to see where France is. When you get a lot of experience as a driver, you learn not to let those kind of situations affect you, not get into your head. As they bump their way out of the Ericsson complex up into turn 8, slides the car through with 25 laps to go. We're just over half distance in this race, but it's 31 minutes and 40 seconds remaining.
Well, Loïc Duval is still pushing, still trying to chivvy Oliver Jarvis into a little mistake. He's trying to do what China managed to do with Italy's Edoardo Piscopo, but there is no sign of that little error so far from Oliver Jarvis. Still some way until we get the second round of pit stops going underway. Look how quickly China's caught Brazil now, and in the background, South Africa much closer to Italy. Here comes Frankie Cheng trotting alongside Bruno Junqueira. He's going to go for it down the inside. Great move. Can he hold it?
Yes, he can. Superb, well thought out, better execution. That's what a good racing move is all about. You do your homework where it all counts. That's coming down to the corner, put yourself into the position, and then you deny the car you're passing the opportunity to sweep across in front of you. And now it'll be Adrian Zaugg with that hole, the gaping hole. I think that hole's actually getting larger as we go through the race.
Yeah, it can't be helping him for speed down the straight, but it is a street circuit. It won't be hurting him too much, and he's closing on Italy's Edoardo Piscopo. Let's take a look at again.
Yeah, this is a copybook overtake. Brazil tried to come back, but they just didn't have the momentum at the middle of the corner, and then China just uses that opportunity just to prevent the thoughts on the part of Brazil to come back into turn 10.
I tell you what, you're brave going down the inside there. That was a great pass by Frankie Cheng, and he pulled it off to perfection. It's moved him up into 8th place. China are on a charge here. They had 4th place earlier today. What can he do this time? Well, look at that response from the Chinese crew.
Well, he's some 8.8 seconds behind Malaysia in 7. But the lap times, well, Malaysia's running in high 1 minute 20s, and the last lap from China was a 1:21.2, so that was the cause that they overtake. Cost time, but it gained position.
We're 5 laps away from the next round of pit stops opening up. Adrian Zaugg has got closer to this battle, but he's still not quite got onto the rear of the Italian car. There's still a little more work to do here before he's going to be in a position to really challenge. But remember, where he's so good is on the run down to Vodacom hairpin, the first corner of the track.
So he's just got to be patient. There's a lap, you got Brazil, and I'm not sure the pace of Brazil is falling away. Last lap 1 minute 22.8, lap for Italy 1 minute 21.4, so 1.5 seconds in round numbers. That's the differential in lap time, Brazil and Italy, and these 3 cars are now getting closer together. That will work to the advantage, in my view, of South Africa, with the experience of Adrian Zaugg and the ability to judge when and when not to make a move. With a bit of blocking from Italy, fully in time to do it. You can make one move, you can't come back and block a second time.
That's right, so Adrian Zaug's trying to work this one out. They're just outside the points at the moment, South Africa, but a real opportunity of scoring points here this afternoon if they can just get past a couple of cars, make a good pit stop next time around. They had a problem on the last one. Once you've had one problem, sometimes it's a problem that recurs. It might have been a problem with the hub on that car, so let's just hope that they get a clean pit stop second time around.
Edoardo Piscopo was under pressure from China for many laps now at South Africa, and Adrian Zaugg is going to bear down, coming down onto the quickest part of the circuit. Can he repeat what we saw China so successfully achieve some laps ago? He's not close enough to the Italian car, has to wait, and you have to be patient. There's only 2 or 3 spots you might have a look, let alone realistic chance to overtake.
Interesting signal on our timing screens that a warning flag's being presented to Team Brazil. I wonder if that's for some sort of tactics that he's been deploying, but whatever, a warning flag for Team Brazil. No other penalty as yet.
Haven't seen anything on screen that looks like he deserved a warning flag. We've got a yellow flag being waved. Something's going on down at Vodacom corner. The South African crew sit in the pit lane and have a look and see. Again, Adrian Zaugg for South Africa, not really able to get close enough. That flag is out. You shouldn't be trying to pass down the inside. The flag is still showing an our timing and scoring is being waved. So whether he will have to drop back or whether that, well, the flag is now being taken off the screen, so I'm assuming it was taken away from the corner just before that overtaking manoeuvre.
It's another place gained by South Africa. We couldn't see a yellow flag actually flying, and there are lots of South African flags flying now because they're in the points. He's up to 10th position. Adrian Zaugg has brought the car into 10th, and he's not far away from taking 9th from Brazil.
Just over 27 minutes in this race, remaining 22 laps. I don't think we're going to make the 22 laps. In fact, I'll tell you we're not going to make the 22 laps.
No, it's going to be a timed race, so we're just under, just over 27 minutes, as you say, and we're getting close to the time when we'll see that second round of pit stops. That's going to be so crucial. He's He's got to try and tuck in behind the Brazilian car, behind Bruno Junqueira. Needs to get a little closer yet before he can really put a move on him. But I said it was turn one where he's so strong on the brakes, and that's where he worked that move to perfection, getting past the Italian car. I wonder if he could do that to Junqueira. Junqueira might fight it a little more vigorously than Edoardo Piscopo.
In the meantime, the gap between leader Switzerland and Canada in the second, 0.8 of a second. And I'm expecting as soon as the pit lane window is open to see both Switzerland and Canada dive into the pit lane, and the race will be won or lost as who comes out first.
Here comes Adrian Zaugg. He's not close enough this time to try the move on Team Brazil's Bruno Junqueira, so lots in behind him once again, and no place is gained. Italy still following. Italy still running in 11th place now, just outside the points for Team Italy.
Yeah, the task for Bruno Junqueira is going to be, he's got a much more experienced driver in Bruno Junqueira than Edoardo Piscopo, and he knows how to conserve a position, and it's going to mean either a big punt down the inside, or he's going to try and catch out Brazil, much in the same way we saw China catch out Italy earlier.
We saw India in the pits, and that must be a problem because the pit lane, the pit window has not opened up for the second time yet, so they must have had a problem. That's allowed Lebanon to go up to 13th position now as they are sitting in the pits.
It may just be quite simply that it's exhaustion. Is that an error in the part of both drivers?
Yeah.
In fact, on leaving all three drivers, USA has pulled into the garage and their afternoon's work's finished.
Well, maybe it's finished. Maybe they'll send him on his way again. Who knows? It is worth it, as we said, that if you've got anything left in the car, it's worth to keep pushing. There's your race leader, and in fact, fastest lap for Team Switzerland. That was said a while ago, but Neel Jani is controlling this race from the Canadian Robert Wickens, who won earlier on today. These two pretty much ahead of the battle for third, still going on between Great Britain and France, but it is over now for Jonathan Summerton. He walks to the back of the pit garage. All over for Team USA, and they're going to have to look towards Mexico, where he was such a star last year, for the next round of the championship.
They're on the 29th lap of this race, so the pit lane window will be open, so we wait to see whether we do get a file of cars making it into the pit lane. There's a little bit of a gap benefiting Team GBR as well. Loïc Duval for France has dropped back just over a second behind the Great Britain car, and with the pit stop window opening, maybe what we will see is France stay out if others go in, and for France to try and use that clear track to build up that little bit of extra time. Is anybody going in? Yeah, can't see the pit lane exit, pit lane entrance.
One more lap, I think, before they're allowed to come in, isn't it? They'll do 29 this time around.
So coming in the end of this lap. They're
Yeah.
on lap 29 now.
So we'll see. Next time around, they could well be in. Then it will be a battle of the pit crews in this high heat and high humidity. They've got to avoid making any mistakes and change all four wheels as quickly as possible. Zaugg has not been able to put any more of a challenge on the Brazilian car. Maybe he's going to try and depend on a quick pit stop himself to get out ahead.
So everybody running in either the high 19s or the middle 20s there. We see the Swiss team ready for the second stop of the afternoon for Switzerland. We don't know whether Canada's preparing yet or not. If we look at Brazil, South Africa and Italy, and Adrian Zaugg probably just deciding, as South Africa may well have chosen to do, to wait it out. India back out on track, and the gap has actually opened up quite significantly from Switzerland to Canada. Where did that all happen? It's 2.2 seconds. It used to be just 0.8 of a second. Was that a mistake from Canada, or was it, well, the lap time was 120.9 for Canada, 119.6, 1.3 seconds was lost by Canada on that lap.
And he's losing more here behind India, so this is costing Canada dearly here. This is not what they wanted at all. I think you'll see them into the pits this time around. Yes, they are heading in, and Great Britain also into the pits. Now, interestingly, deciding to stay out again is France. They're going for it with clear air. Good decision from Team France. Has to be the way to go.
So Switzerland, Canada, Great Britain in. And for France, well, I think they've done what they did in the first round of pit stops, and that's the right thing for France. They've got a clear racetrack. They can use the natural speed we know that Loïc Duval and the French car have got, and they will try and pick up maybe 2-3 tenths of a second each lap to gain margins of an advantage.
Let's watch who comes out first then. It should be Switzerland. It is Switzerland. Canada. Oh, he almost clipped one of his own guys. Great Britain gets away, so order is resumed. But what is interesting is France has stayed out there and might be able to gain an edge. Here comes Canada trying to get in front of China.
China trying to get down the inside of Canada, and Canada did not want to let Frankie Cheng get in ahead of him. So he wants to keep in contact with the Swiss car, and Frankie Cheng had to get the car all sideways to avoid slamming into Canada's car.
Well, we'll be into some confusion for a little while some have stopped and some haven't. Portugal have moved up to second now because they have not made the pit stop. South Africa, vital stop here for South Africa. in their battle with the likes of Brazil. He should stay ahead of Italy, which he does. Italy gets going, and they've beaten Brazil. South Africa's pit crew has done the business for Adrian Zaugg, and they've done the work of getting him past Bruno Junqueira.
He's now got again a clear track ahead of him, the natural pace of the South Africa car, Adrian Zaugg. He can now do some work. They were up to 10th place. He can now concentrate on trying to run down. In effect, it was at one point Malaysia, but that of course has all changed with the pit stop sequences. And not everybody has come in at the earliest opportunity.
And the crowd realise that they've got that car past Brazil. So important. What a great stop by his crew when he needed it most. And Adrian Zaugg, another opportunity to perhaps move up the order. Watch for some quick laps coming from him now. Into the pits comes Filipe Albuquerque of Team Portugal. He's been driving superbly on his A1GP debut. Can he keep it up for the remainder? Malaysia into the pits as well.
The key to this race is going to be the pace that France can run at. The last lap France has recorded 1 minute 19.5. We're waiting to see what Switzerland, Canada, Great Britain will do on their fresh rubber. They're just back out. Their lap times are not relative. They've got to get that extra lap. Malaysia also makes it right back onto the circuit.
Looks like a pretty smooth stop for Malaysia. China into the pits as well. Waiting for the all clear. Away goes Frankie Cheng. In the background, Australia coming into the pits. Well down the order. 15th place for Australia at the moment, but the Jackaroo's still out there, and John Martin still
South
going.
Africa comes up. They're running up to the back of China. The best chance South Africa's going to have is to get past China on this out lap.
France is in now. This is it, John. This is crucial. A crucial stop for Team France. How quick has he been able to go over the last lap or so?
1 minute 19.5. He only got one full flying lap. He's come in the next lap. So he's decided, and France have decided to come in and get this wheel change done as quickly as possible.
Made a little mistake turning into his pit box there. Don't quite know what happened.
Well, he isn't going to get ahead of these two cars. Switzerland and Canada are coming down to turn 15. Under brakes into turn 15. The wheels and tires are on the French car. But is it rolling? Yes, it is. Can he get out? Can he split? Can he split the lead two cars? No, he can. He's going to come out. He's going ahead of Great Britain.
He's gone in front of Great Britain. Canada on a charge. Here comes Ollie Jarvis. Oh, he's overshot the corner. He's just about made it round. He tried to get back in front of France. Well, he nearly overshot it completely, but he's still on.
France knew they had to do one thing. That was get from the left of the track to the right to prevent Oliver Jarvis doing the same to him. And Oliver Jarvis just over around the corner. That was a legitimate move. Tough, hard, professional motor racing, but that's what they're here.
Black flag for Team India, and he's had to withdraw, so I'm not sure what that one's around, but Team India out of the race. Black flag, no further play for Parthiva Sureshwaran. Well, drama indeed. Switzerland and Canada, nothing much to choose between them, but France have used that slightly later pit stop to their advantage. A great stop by the French crew, and now they're looking at a podium finish, having started 8th on the grid, and in the battle of the championship, desperate to try and close that gap on Switzerland, who have the edge in this feature race.
So the gap we're waiting to see as when they come round at the end of this lap, and that is what happened. Oliver Jarvis shot down the outside, thinking he can go the long way around, carried too much speed, just too late in the brakes, and had to take the very, very long way around Budokan corner.
Worth a go though, wasn't it?
He had no choice, he had to do it. In a situation like this where France have come out and they've gone to the inside of the track, you've got little choice but to go down the outside into the corner, but of course he was just too late and paid the penalty.
Yeah, but it was a good effort. That was the reaction of the French crew, because they got their guy ahead of Team GBR, and that had been a battle going on for lap after lap. There'll be disappointment there on the British pit wall, but that's part of the game, and the French played it very cleverly, just taking that slightly later stop. They were able to take advantage of it, and that was disappointing, but this race isn't over yet. There's still 18 minutes or 15 laps. It'll be the 18 minutes that comes in first, and there's still time to go, still plenty of time for mistakes to be made as well.
So Switzerland, Canada running within 1.5 tenths of a second of each other. France in third there, just ahead of Great Britain, and now we see South Africa.
Yeah, closing on China. This is for 8th place now. South Africa trying to move up another position in that top 10.
It's going to be difficult for Adrian Zaugg. We've seen how feisty Frankie Cheng for China has been. He's not going to give up the opportunity to take the points for 8th place. He's got South Africa breathing all over them. It's a lot of motivation for South Africa and a lot for China.
And a quick mention of Portugal running in 5th place. Filipe Albuquerque on his debut, running in a very solid 5th position in tremendous heat and difficult conditions, and he is driving very, very well indeed. So Portugal seem to have found themselves quite a star in Filipe Albuquerque. We'll be seeing more of him, I'm sure, but it's the host nation that we're watching here. Can he do anything to close the gap a little more to China? Up ahead of them, by the way, Malaysia, but they're quite a long way ahead, some 8 seconds up the road, so they're going to have to work hard to close that gap.
And they've also got Ireland in the mix. Ireland, of course, a number of laps down, well, in fact, 1 lap down, and I'm sure Adam Carroll will allow these cars to go through. Maybe we're required to do so, as he is a lap down. This is a battle for position, a battle for points. But of course the driver will only try and do it. He's pulling over to the right and letting China go through. Will he allow South Africa to go through at the same time? I think he's going to do that, and that's going to be fair from Ireland.
Yeah, a good move that from Adam Carroll. He is, to say, one of the most sporting drivers out there. When he's not in a situation that he can do anything, then he will try and help others. So that's good news, and Adrian Zaugg doesn't get hindered by the Irish car. He can continue that chase, but China's car is very fast. Frankie Cheng driving superbly here today. It's not going to be easy at all to close it down.
Well, the pace of these two cars running in 8th and 9th position is precisely the pace of the cars leading this race.
We gather the black flag for India was for 3 pit stop violations in the pits.
I think that he was just absolutely exhausted. He forgot to push the speed limit button, or if he did, maybe it isn't working. Sometimes that happens, and particularly in extreme conditions, and you just get caught. But doing it 3 times, you have to say, guilty gov.
New fastest lap for New Zealand, by the way. They just set the new fastest lap. That might gain them 1 point, but they're down in 12th place and some 4.8 seconds behind Brazil. So they're not that likely to score points unless something fairly miraculous happens.
Well, the pace that he's running at him, he's running well, that last lap, 18.7, is the best part of 1.67 seconds quicker than both Italy and Brazil. We've got 13 laps to go, but the reality is we've got 15 minutes to go. It is possible, but it would be once to catch them, a second thing to pass them.
Yeah, there he is, in fact, in the Black Beauty. So he could perhaps get, certainly in Brazil, the
China's now got the fastest race lap.
Well, that's pretty impressive, yeah. China.
I did say that group of cars with South Africa and China were running at the pace of the cars at the very front of the field. So that not only confirms it, we've seen it now as the fastest lap, and maybe Frankie Cheng's beginning to ease away from Adrian Zaugg in South Africa's car, out and in for a pit stop. So the gap between South Africa and China the last time passed 1.7 seconds, and it looks like it's going to grow.
They have to do something else rather than just the wheel change there, something else that seat belts, or he's taking the steering wheel off. So there's a problem with the steering wheel. Oh dear, it's not working out for Ireland at all, is it?
Well, I don't know what the problem is, and there is a battle for the lead of this race, and now Rob Wickens is right on the tail. Whether the Czech car got into the way or not, I don't know.
That was interesting. He got right on the tail, but then seemed to just lose a bit of performance off the corner. I don't know what happened there.
Either in the short gears, you can clip the rev limiter, and that would be enough just to give you a momentary stall.
Yeah, it looks like something like that. It looked like it suddenly just died for a second and then picked up again. So could well have been that. Over the curves they go, still bouncing their way through that chicane. Car. So initially they would have had the edge, but now maybe France will come back at them. Let's get a bit of an update and an opinion from Swiss rookie driver Marcel Flassler. Marcel, what do you reckon on what's happening?
Yeah, it was a really tight pit stop between Canada and Switzerland. And now the Canada is doing a lot of pressure on the Swiss team, but now at the moment it looks that the team can, Neel can react and can a bit make a gap between them. But still, what I see now, the Canadian can do a really good pace at the moment and keep the pressure on.
Yeah, well, I think you're absolutely right there, and it's an impressive performance this from Rob Wickens. Neel Jani, of course, much more used to these long races. Fair enough, Robert Wickens has done a few A1GP events, but in these sort of temperatures, this sort of heat, it's not an easy task at all. And Jani, who looked as though he would win the feature race here in the very first season we were at Durban, actually, he was leading the race and looked to be well placed, had brake problems right at the end, if you remember. He did still finish the race, still got a podium, but it cost him the victory. So don't forget, things can happen right in the closing stages of the race here in Durban.
So the gap between first and second is basically back to status quo, whatever the reasons were, where Canada could run down the Swiss car. It may simply have been just caution on the part of Switzerland going into turn one with the Czech car in, approaching the corner, but back now to the end of the straight. And Rob Wickens just shadowing every move of the Swiss car, but not being able to offer a challenge. We've got 12 minutes 20 seconds of the race remaining, and the only hope is that for Rob Wickens, maybe that Neel Jani, having not felt 100%, he told us that on the podium after the sprint race, that his stamina may be on the limit, and the young 18-year-old from Canada's got more gas in the tank. Well, maybe he can put pressure and force an error. Right now, it doesn't look like it.
No, they will be lapping other cars fairly soon, though, so that might just add to the mix, might give Rob Wickens a hint of an opportunity, and it only takes the slightest mistake, and I'm sure he's going to take it to try and get alongside. Don't forget France right in there as well, and Canada with a very good second sector on that last lap, still showing very good pace. It is a loose steering wheel on Team Ireland's car that's causing the problem. I wonder if they're going to be able to send him out again or not, but it's not looking good at the moment.
Well, I don't know how you can have a loose steering wheel. It is a detachable steering wheel. John Martin dives down on the inside, does he get that pass on Khalil Bashir? Yes, he does. So Australia, and they're battling away in 14th position. They're running, in fact, they've gone to 13th. That was a pass 4 position, so Australia have taken 13th position away from Khalil Bashir and Lebanon.
Yeah, John, as we know, he was in hospital all night last night on a drip. There's Josef Král keeping out of the way. New Zealand has caught Brazil now. So New Zealand, who've been lapping very quickly, has caught right up to the back of the Brazilian
and
car.
This is for the last point for 10th position. So that will be a very valuable point. They did have the passes left for a moment. That's gone now to China. So Johnny Reid needs to get 1 point out of this if he can. Put pressure on the Brazilian driver and force an error. Look, he's so much quicker through the entrance to the Ericsson complex, and can't do anything in the complex. It's only when you get out of it and get up to turn 8, then the run down that long straight into turn 9. So he will look for a good drive off this corner, try to get under the wing, try to put himself in position to get alongside, as we saw trying to do earlier in the race.
Let's see if they can do it. Oh, there's an incident between Canada and Great Britain. Canada and Great Britain could both be out of this race.
Well, Canada's definitely out. The left rear of the car is broken. What happened, we will see. And look, Great Britain right in the middle of the racetrack. The left rear of the Canada car has been damaged. It is broken. That car will be pushed away. So Canada out. Great Britain possibly out.
Second place Canada were, let's see what happened here, John. They weren't that close, I didn't think. Canada.
No, that's Switzerland and Canada.
Oh, he clipped the ball. He clipped the ball on the inside.
Wheelie to spin it, and then he tries it. France goes through. Now he's going to loop the car and he goes.
Whoa.
Well. I thought the pressure was going to be on Switzerland, but in fact it was Canada who bowed to the pressure. Look, Team GBR on the pit wall, cannot believe it. They've been taken out by Canada trying to spin the car around, and that is all over for Team GBR. They've been taken out by an unforced situation, and Canada's out, Great Britain's out, and that now changes the complexion. Netherlands are in play, as is Malaysia. So it's Switzerland, Netherlands and Malaysia.
What's happened to Portugal?
France is second, I beg your pardon.
Portugal suddenly dropped down the order as well. I was just about to say they could be on for a podium, but Portugal's dropped way down as well. So something's happened to Team Portugal. Whether they got caught up in that as well, quite possibly. But can you believe it? Rob Wickens, who's driven so well here today, he took the win. France now come up into second place for Loïc Duval. This is a huge chance because he will definitely go on the attack after the restart. We've got the safety car out there. They're all slowed right up behind the safety car, but France now second, and it brings the Netherlands up to third. Well, who'd believe that? Jeroen Bleekemolen's been consistent all afternoon. They won here in the past. Can they do it again? Jeroen Bleekemolen up to third. Malaysia is up to fourth now, John. What a result this could be for Malaysia. Fourth place, fifth place China, and sixth place South Africa. The host nation will now be running in sixth place. What a difference this has made.
And another beneficiary will be New Zealand in 11th place. They'll automatically leapfrog up into 9th place.
Well, I have to feel for Ollie Jarvis there, though, because there was absolutely nothing he could do about that. Canada car was just trying to rejoin. Part and parcel of the restrictive nature of a street track. He's got going at last. And, well, he'll have to try.
The seat belts are undone, so he's going to have to come into the pits anyway to get those seat belts reattached. He will not on the nose, you can see the wing itself has been attached. We are waving those cars through. We're still under the safety car. Now, I don't know whether he's permitted to do that or not, or whether under the circumstances might be called force majeure. His seat belts are undone, and therefore in the interest of safety he needs to go at a much slower pace than those two cars.
Right, that really has woken things up here with the incident taking out both Canada and Great Britain. What a shame, but it looked like Canada were heading for at least a second podium of the day. Great Britain had dropped to fourth after that pit stop, but was still in the hunt. But now, once again, trying to take two podium finishes on one day has proved to be too difficult for Team GBR. It just doesn't seem to be coming together for them. Interestingly, the Lebanon car is between Switzerland and France here. So when they do get the restart in a little while, that will have a bearing.
I think it'll be sharp right for Lebanon and let France go down on the racing line into turn one. I'm sure Khalil Bashir, the team, will be on the radio telling him, do not get in the way of France. There's a battle going on for the lead of this race. There's also a battle going on for who will end up winning the Nations Cup at the end of the season that France has.
Czech Republic car still going. Let's take another look at this incident. Canada clips the wall.
Clipped it. I mean the gap that you leave normally, and then France almost gets caught. Rob Wickens then tries to spin it round. The wheel bumps the inside of the car, and of course, poor Oliver Jarvis comes round the corner, and he has got nowhere to go whatsoever.
I wonder if Portugal then came round and got caught into that. I don't know. There was the contact. Let's go down and hear some news from Simon Hill in pit lane.
Well, as you may have seen on the screens there, the Team France guys are looking very anxious because there is Team Lebanon between them and Switzerland at the restart. So Eric Bouillet, team manager of Team France, came sprinting up the pit lane to speak to the guys at Team Lebanon and asked if they'd get Khalil to cooperate at the restart and give Loïc Duval some room.
But of course, Loïc Duval's not allowed to pass him until they get to the line.
That's correct. But of course, Khalil Bashir in the Lebanon car doesn't have to force the issue. He can just get offline or just back off early and let that opportunity for France to get past cleanly and unimpeded to do so. GBR back out, but of course, what a disaster having done a great race in the sprint race and being in position to have a podium finish in this feature race.
Khalil's been told for Lebanon, keep up with the Swiss car if you possibly can, and he's trying to do that. He's trying to respond. He's going to try and stay on the gearbox, but of course Neel Jani will know he's got a relatively inexperienced driver behind him and try and take advantage. The safety car is due in, so they are building up to the restart here, and we'll see how Jani decides to run it. He's taking it very slowly. He's got a great opportunity to open a gap over France here, and then in behind them we've got the Netherlands, who've also got a car in between themselves. Here goes Jani, and look, you see Lebanon doesn't really respond, and this is hurting France. France not allowed to overtake until he gets to the line. Lebanon moves out of the way, and across the line they go.
Well, in fact, he overtook probably before the line, only because Lebanon pulled off and lifted off, and then you see Khalil Bashir cruising down.
South Africa down the inside and hits.
Oh, accident. Portugal hits Italy, and New Zealand gets trapped as well. And I mean, just like a cannon, just out of control, rolling into turn, into the boat. Oh, fire at the back of the Dutch car. Something has damaged the oil radiators or oil lines, and we've got 5 cars in turn 1, Bodukum corner. It has seen all the action here today, and how many cars are going to make it to the end? We've got 4 minutes and 22 seconds, and this race may well finish under a safety car.
Oh, what a pity. The guy had driven so well today. Adrian Zaugg had made up so many places, but that was just trying a little too hard, I think. He went for it. You can't say he disgraced himself in trying to go for the move, but to be honest, we looked optimistic. Great Britain goes through. I tell you what, there's an opportunity, and New Zealand got caught in that, John, so
yes,
they're now in trouble.
So they were also one of the innocent parties in that incident. Oh. And South Africa and New Zealand were fundamentally the two nations that were hoping. Let's look again and see a big punt down the inside, 3 into that will not go. Slams hard into the side of the Netherlands car, and then China just about gets away. Then Italy backs up. You see, I think it's Brazil and New Zealand.
Dramatic fire on the Dutch car. I don't often see that.
Well, that's just simply one of the oil lines or a connector, and the oil getting onto the exhaust. But you know, no way, Adrian Zaugg, you could go down there. That was optimistic beyond anybody's imagination.
So, lots more cars damaged. Let's take a look at it from Adrian's point of view. Quite a long way back. Decides to go for it.
No way at that speed on that line with the curb coming back towards you. You get launched hard into the side. The oil radiator gets damaged. The oil gets on the exhaust. That's what we saw. Malaysia manages to get away with it, get round the outside.
Malaysia again gets round it. I'm just looking at the timing and scoring. Portugal's now being shown third again, so I did wonder what had happened to Portugal, and it seems as though it might have been a timing and scoring problem that put him down. We'll have to check that in a little while, but Portugal may well be on for a podium finish here, you know. And what I want to know is when they come around next time, what's happening just at the bottom end of the top 10. There might be some people on for points who could never have expected it. Well, we'll wait and see.
Well, we always know on a street track, and this is our only street track in the year, that it is a maverick in terms of what will be the result after the 48 laps or the 69 minutes plus 1 lap. And we've seen incident upon incident on the opening lap. At the restart here now further into the race, cars severely damaged, and there we see Brazil with the spare car being craned away. and Brazil, their own race car, will have to be sent back to England to be repaired, and it looks like that spare car may also need a little bit of work on it.
I don't want to speak too soon, but I think there might actually be a very real chance here for Lebanon to score a point. Now, that is quite an exciting prospect because Lebanon have never ever scored a point in A1GP. I'm not sure about it yet. It does depend on how long the race goes because some people are classing he's a couple of laps down, but we've only got about a lap and a bit to go. It may not be that they can do it because cars that have crashed out might actually have finished more of the race than them.
So there's the time. We're almost at 1.5 minutes to go plus that one lap. So until the field filters its way past the start-finish line and we get an update on the order.
Oh, red flag. He won't get a point. It's a red flag, so I don't think he will get a point. And Team Portugal have got a podium. Team Portugal have finished third. It's Switzerland who've taken the victory here, but France second and Portugal third.
Remember, also the results will go back one lap, not what we are seeing on screen. It will be one lap back.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't know. I'm confused now, but looking at it as it stands, I think Portugal have got a podium out of this with their brand new driver, Filipe Albuquerque. Switzerland have definitely won the race. There's no doubt about that. For the second time today, the race finishes under red flag, but Switzerland have taken the victory. They've taken the win. They've taken the $200,000 prize, but more importantly for them, they've taken the 15 points for the victory, and that has given them a very, very useful margin. France have recovered after a very difficult start to the weekend with second place, 12 vital points for them as well, so that really does keep their chances alive. It's New Zealand who are the big losers, but what about Portugal? Moving up there into Parc Fermé, it looks as though Filipe Albuquerque on his debut has come home third place for Portugal, and that's one of their best ever results. Victory for Neel Jani. He's done it. He's held on under intense pressure from Canada, most notably throughout that race, and he goes over to Loïc Duval. What a result it is for both of them, and it does put both nations that little bit clear of New Zealand as this exciting World Cup of Motorsport continues and surely is going to go all the way to the final round at Brands Hatch in May. Oh, Jeroen Bleekemolen walks back again, a damaged car. He can't believe it. He got clouded by Germany in race 1 and taken out by South Africa here in race 2 in the feature race. Confusion at the end of the race, but the classification at the end of 41 laps. Actually, the Netherlands are classified 4th. I'm just looking at our timing screens. There's the result for Portugal. Filipe Albuquerque has taken 3rd, and that is a tremendous result on his debut. The youngster, what a star he is, and the 22-year-old former winner of the Formula Renault Euro Cup in Europe, and coming into A1GP this weekend. Well, who would have thought he could have got a podium out of it? But the Netherlands have been classified 4th, let me tell you. Malaysia have come home 5th after all that. That's a great result. China 6th, and South Africa are classified after all that in 7th place. So despite that incident, South Africa are classified 7th, Italy 8th, Brazil 9th, and New Zealand have got a point for 10th position. Well, that really has been a confusing end to it, but China's Frankie Cheng there, after one of the drives of the race, I would say, getting some refreshment. He finishes in 6th place, and a well-deserved 6th place. So they ended up with a 4th and a 6th here today, and they should be pretty happy about that. There is a smile on his face, and, well, I can understand that one. Let's get down to the pits, though, because there are even more smiles for Team Portugal. Let's hear from them with Simon.
Wow, Luis, Portugal are back.
Yeah, so it was a very exciting race for us, and very happy. So I don't have words to thank everyone for the fantastic job, and I think now we have a driver that can really again put us on the good track, and I hope we can next year fight for the championship and win this race for next year. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, yes, absolutely. A superb result. They've had a podium in the past when Alvaro Perez has been driving for them, one of their star drivers, but now Filipe Albuquerque has come along and put the car on the podium. So many congratulations to Team Portugal. And after a dramatic day, we always get these kind of races here in Durban, and it's happened once again, ending on a red flag. But it's Switzerland that has taken the victory, the 15 points, and they'll be on 118 points as a result of that. That really is an impressive tally. 108 points will be the score now for France, so a 10-point advantage. Confirmation of the result here then, in Durban in the feature race. It's Switzerland the winners from Neel, Jani, with Loïc Duval for France in second, and the surprise, Portugal in third place, courtesy of Filipe Albuquerque. The Netherlands finished fourth, Malaysia in an excellent fifth, China sixth, and South Africa still managed to get some points, classified seventh, ahead of Italy, Brazil, and a point also for Team New Zealand. Great Britain out of luck though, taken out in that incident with Team Canada's Rob Wickens, 11th and 12th. Lebanon, I'm afraid, didn't get that valuable point in the end, 13th place for them. Then Australia, Ireland, the Czech Republic, India, USA, Mexico, lots of cars out early on. Germany, Indonesia and Pakistan. China got the extra point for fastest lap. Well, crowds beginning to make their way home now after sitting in the sunshine and seeing all sorts of things going on. I'm glad to say I've been joined up in the commentary box now by Marcel Fassler, rookie driver for Team Switzerland, and our man down in the pit lane today. Marcel, have you ever seen quite a race quite like that, for all the changes of fortunes that were going on there?
I never have seen a race like that so far at the moment, and it was really a lot of incidents during the race, and it was unbelievable. It was no 1 second almost without any spectacle. And I think the crowds here, they could really enjoy a really nice race. Unfortunately, the South Africa was not there what it should be. But from our side, from Switzerland side, it was really successful from both races. And I'm really glad to also have seen a really nice race from the A1GP.
It was a good race, yes, and as you say, from your point of view, from Team Switzerland's point of view, it couldn't have been much better in terms of the feature race, and Neel Jani is coming out to take his step on the top of the podium. It's their third win of the season. It's been a little while coming too, because it was Malaysia where he had his last victory, and now he's back on that top step. Second place for Loïc Duval of Team France, and he won't be seen in A1GP for the rest of the season, so that's a great way to leave. A third place, just listen to the reception. Filipe Albuquerque on his debut in A1GP. Big smile. He's a great guy, and I think he's going to be a part of that team now, certainly for quite a while to come. Trophies are about to be presented, but certainly you can see a little bit of the strain on Neel's face there, Marcel. You know, you told me earlier that he wasn't feeling too well, and you can sort of see that in his face, can't you?
Yeah, I think it was really hard for Neel because he had sickness in his stomach this morning, and after the sprint race he was already not so well.
Well, what a result that is for Filipe Albuquerque. A delight.
Really happy. I think what kind of luck must be inside him. First race here with the A1GP already on the podium. I think for him is really nice, and I think we will see Neel smiling also after a while. But I think he is really, from his sickness, he was a hard race for him.
Loïc Duval delighted with second place, and so he should be. They worked hard, that team, and there was a great stop and great tactics as well from them to take that place from Great Britain. Bit of luck involved because he managed to miss some of the incidents, particularly when Canada tried to rejoin. But the gold medal goes to Neel Jani. You're right, there is a smile. He definitely doesn't look as well as he might, but there is a smile on Neel Jani's face as he takes the trophy as well for victory in the feature race. Now, tell you what, Neel Jani is now the biggest prize money winning driver in A1GP history. He has now passed the tally that Nico Hülkenberg achieved. Neel Jani, the winner for Team Switzerland, the feature race here in Durban, and he takes his winnings up to $2,343,000 in the 3 years of A1GP. It's time for the champagne celebration, And a quick reminder that in the first season here at Durban, Neel Jani looked set to win the feature race when late race brake problems cost him a victory. This time, nothing went wrong from his point of view. It seemed to go wrong for just about everybody else, but he held on in front to take the victory.